Today I was wondering, why is it that in the exact moment that Zechariah names the child John, is his tongue freed? Remember when the angel imposed this silence over Zechariah, he said, when all these things happen, then your speech will come back. But he didn't give a specific time. But only when he names John, his son, then his tongue is freed. So what's the significance of that event? Why is it that naming him John is what frees his tongue in a sense? Well, first of all, it's an act of obedience, right? Because the angel told him, you ought to call him John. That's the name the angel told Zechariah he ought to call his child. So yes, it's an act of obedience, but I think it's much more than that. I think that there was no one in the family called John, so when he gave up the name Zechariah to call him John, he's doing a fundamental recognition. He's saying, this child doesn't depend on fleshly inheritance. This child is part of the plan of God. So he's saying, in a sense, he belongs to me, but he belongs much more to God than to myself. And I also think it's very interesting that as soon as Zechariah is capable of doing this act of obedience and faith, then he is released from his speech impediment. And this shows us that when God corrects, he doesn't correct out of the desire for revenge as much as he corrects for the desire of helping the person amend themselves. So we know that the moment he was naming John, his process of recovery from his skepticism was already done and healed. One final comment. I was also impressed to see that the moment he recovers his speech, what is it that Zechariah does? He blesses the Lord. And why is this interesting? Because I think that Zechariah may have been tempted to give excuses and explanations as soon as he recovered his speech. Because people were wondering, what did you do? You must have done something to lose your speech. And Zechariah perhaps was tempted to say, well, these are all the circumstances, and this is why I lost my speech. But he does none of that. He goes straight to bless the Lord. And I was thinking, one of the greatest proofs of virtue and humility is how we handle criticism and knowing that other people speak bad of us. Because that hurts us in our self-love. And I think Zechariah gives us a great proof of virtue. Because he doesn't want to recover his reputation and give explanations so that everybody thinks well of him. He's past that. He goes and blesses the Lord straight. So today, brothers and sisters, we could ask ourselves this question. When people criticize me, when I know that someone doesn't think highly of me, do I want to give explanations and excuses? Do I want to convince everyone to think well of me? Or am I able to bless the Lord in those circumstances? Let us learn from Zechariah, who was obedient, who learned his lesson, and who blessed the Lord in the midst of his difficulties.